Hello students, today you're going to take Cornell notes on ohms and current. Go ahead and set up your notebook in Cornell note style. Just like any video, if it's going too fast, pause it or rewind it. Alright, ready? Let's begin. A wire or any other material has various amounts of electrical resistance against the flow of electrons. So things like conductors allow electrons to freely pass through, and things like insulators restrict the flow of electrons a lot more. For number one, I'll provide the question. For number one, you can write, do all materials restrict electrons in the same way? For the rest of them, make up your own question. All right, moving on to two. For number two, let me show you some pictures first, and then I'll show you what to copy. But the length of the wire and also the thickness or the gauge of the wire has to do with how much resistance there is for the electrons to move or flow. With this digital animation, I can move these two or three parameters here. So if I increase the length of the wire, the resistance of the electrons having to flow through, because there's more wire for the electrons that they have to travel through, the resistance goes up. As you can see here, if the wire is shorter, the resistance is lower. Area also plays a role. So if the wire is thicker, there is less resistance. If the wire is thinner, there is more resistance. Alright, so for number two, write the larger the wire, the lower the electrical resistance. And also the length and the size or the area affects the electrical resistance. Come up with your question for two. Okay, you ready? Moving on to three. For number three, write ohms. So ohms are the scientific unit used to measure resistance. They have this chemical symbol right here. Oops. So go ahead and write this symbol too. So whenever you see the symbol, they're talking about electrical resistance. Go ahead and come up with a question for three. If you're done with your question, let's look at this. Remember, resistance is the ability for something, how easy or hard it is for something to flow. It could be water or it could be electricity, but water is a good example to see this. So of course, the size of, like say, the hose you have will restrict how much water can go through. If the wire is smaller or is constricted some way, then of course that would affect the flow of the water too, or the electricity in this case. Okay, moving on to the last one. For number four, write current. Current is the amount of electricity that passes a certain point in a set amount of time. And we measure current in amps. So let me show you a picture. This should be number four, by the way. I just fixed it. So let's look at a picture. So let's review the parts of a circuit. Here you have your energy source. Here you have your load. And here you have your circuit. Current is how much electrical flow there is in amount of time. So how many electrons are flowing or moving a particular place in a set amount of time. Okay, go ahead and come up with your question for four, and then start your summary and your advanced question. Have a good day.